Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is, so you say there's no chaos? I'm about to show you, yeah, there is. But I want to start by just saying on a personal note, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting us. If I did not have a way to talk to this camera every day and assume there's someone back there listening, it would drive me nuts. I love Bible prophecy. I love the things that God has put in my heart to share with other people. And it is a pleasure and an honor to get up out of the bed and come in and dig this stuff out and share it with you. And I look forward to seeing all of you in eternity together where we can praise and worship the Lord and spend all eternity together. And we're going to do that. And we're going to win a lot of souls between now and then. Also, I want to remind you that I have a Bible study. So it's live most every Friday night, not all of them, but most every Friday night from 6:30 to 8 Central Time. That's when it's live, but you can watch the recordings. Now, why take part of an hour and a half Bible study every week? Well, for one thing is, if your brain is like mine, it's like a bucket with a hole in it. I can pour it in, but if I don't keep pouring it in, before long, my bucket is empty. In other words, I got to keep studying the Bible, even though I've studied it for a long time. We got to keep studying it or we forget it. And I believe that knowing the Bible, the King James Bible, is the foundation for everything we want to do in life, everything we want to serve the Lord with. It all starts by knowing the Word of God. So I think it's very important. So I invite you to join us each Friday evening. 6:30 to 8 p.m. is live, but you can watch the other recordings. Also, let me remind you, I think yesterday's program was extremely important. And let me summarize this. There are 3 dates we're watching for. November 1 is probably going to be the entitlement shutoff. As I said, I don't think this government shutdown is going away, period. I don't think it's ever going to come back. I think that the prophecies say that we're going to be getting a new constitution, a new flag, a new name, a new president. Trump will be the president. And this is starting November 1, they're going to cut off the entitlements. They're going to cut off welfare, which is what Dmitry Dudman thought would probably start the internal revolution. And that's going to give us entitlements. Then we're watching January 12th. A special grand jury proceeding begins, probably associated with massive arrests right after the holidays. Then in April, Trump has started a National Guard response force of, at this point, 500 troops ready to go on a moment's notice to quell any problems. If you put those together, what are we looking at? We're looking at, my friends, in the next few weeks, we're looking at trouble beginning that's not going to go away. It's going to increase, increase, increase. Okay, so first topic, look out. Here comes the bear. As you recall, back in February, our good friend Michael Snyder warned us he'd had a dream. And you can pause and read the whole thing if you want to. But essentially, he was told in the dream that we must pray that Trump does not force Putin, the Russian bear, to do anything, that he needs to stay friends with him. Even Brandon Biggs said, take care with the bear. Well, he said he was told in the dream by a very, very loud voice several times, if Trump follows his usual pattern of making outrageous statements and threats, keyword threats, with the Russians, it will backfire severely. Now, what is backfire? Well, let's talk about it, because I think it's about to happen. So, backfire is what was going one way, now goes the opposite direction. So, Trump is attacking Russia's oil, or Trump is attacking Russia's finances. Russia is then, a backfire would be, turned back on America's dollar. In other words, what was attacking Russia's finances turns to attack our finances. How can Russia attack our finances? Well, they are the starter of the BRICS currency. They are the number 2 oil producer in the world at last check. If not 2, it's 3. And we're attacking their primary means of income. So that's a very, very big deal. Now, what does that mean? And the U.S. announces heavy Russia sanctions, says Putin wasn't honest. And you've heard Trump say that every one of the phone calls with Putin and every one of the meetings in person with Putin's very nice meeting. But then he goes away, and then the attacks on Ukraine increase. I think that there is a secret plan between two enemies, Russia and Ukraine, to get America to be involved and somehow to attack Russia so that it gives Russia the excuse before the eyes of the world to attack and destroy America. That's their secret plan. In other words, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the enemy of Russia and Ukraine is both Russia and Ukraine. But they have a bigger calling. That is to take out America so they can rule the world. Well, here it is. This is the thing that I think that Michael Snyder was being warned about. You can pause and read every bit of it if you want to, but let me zoom in and show you the important part. He says, the Treasury is sanctioning Russia's two largest oil companies that fund the Kremlin's war machine. Treasury is prepared to take further action if necessary to support President Trump's effort to end yet another war. We encourage our allies to join us and adhere to these sanctions. Okay, Trump, okay, it's a noble cause trying to end wars, and I agree. But don't get us destroyed. Don't get America involved in a war with Russia trying to solve a war between Russia and Ukraine. There's a point to where you just have to say, I've had enough and walk away. And in my opinion, now's a good time. Trump just needs to walk away and let Russia and Ukraine fight it out with no further help. But of course, he hasn't called me lately. Today's action targets Russia's two largest oil companies. In other words, Trump is attacking Russia's primary means of income, which are now designated. Rosneft is a vertically integrated energy company specializing in the exploration, extraction, production, refining, transport, and sale of petroleum, natural gas, and petroleum products. Lukoil engages in the exploration, production, refining, marketing, and distribution of oil and gas in Russia and internationally, and there's more. Now, the top part lists all of the different companies that this affects. If you look through there, that's a bunch of companies. But let's zoom into the part we want to see. As a result of today's action, all property and interest in property of the designated or blocked persons described above that are in the United States or in the possession of controlling of persons that are blocked must be reported to the OFAC. Skipping down. Violations of these sanctions may result in the imposition of civil or criminal, did you catch that? Criminal penalties on U.S. and foreign persons. So when Trump sets these sanctions up, telling the world that they're not going to be buying any Russian oil, pretty much the rest of the world obeys. Okay, so it's a very, very big deal. In other words, this is not just a little thing. This is basically trying to bring Russia to her knees. This is exactly what Michael Snyder was told we need to pray, and we have been praying that this would not come to pass, but it's coming to pass. Then, here's the next page. We don't need to read all of that. Let me skip into the part that's important. Any service involving Russia's military-industrial base, including any persons blocked pursuant to this, run the risk of being sanctioned also, and then skipping down. Furthermore, engaging in certain transactions involving the persons designated today may risk the imposition of secondary sanctions on participating foreign financial institutions. In other words, you start buying oil from Russia, and it's going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt those associated with you. So this is a very big attack on Russia, and Russia is not going to be happy with this at all. So try to imagine a nation able to cut off America's income. That's what we're doing to Russia. So it goes on to say this is a very, very bad thing. Now, let me go back to my point. Backfires what? In other words, what was going that way now is coming this way. So when Trump attacks Russia's finances, Russia is going to attack right back at America, our finances. How can they do that? Through BRICS, also through oil sales. So now we're about to see what kind of power and authority Putin and Russia have, and we're about to discover quite a bit. Now let's go to the next topic, which ties in, unfortunately. Give us our entitlements. I believe this starts November 1. Let me remind you the dates we're watching for. It's very important. You probably should write these dates down. November 1, we're about to see SNAP, WIC, and EBT, electronic benefit transfers, all cut off. In other words, welfare in America stops November 1. And if you get on X or some of the other places out there, you're seeing there's a lot of people, like I played in yesterday's program, complaining they're already getting letters saying, you ain't getting no money from the government. It's all being cut off. So we can watch November 1 give us our entitlements will start. I do not think that they're going to get this government shutdown ever fixed. I don't think it'll ever fix. I think it'll just simply go on into January, probably February, March, someplace in there. They're just going to switch to a whole new system, whole new government, whole new constitution, whole thing. We'll see, though. January 12th, a special grand jury proceedings begins that makes us think that that's probably associated with massive arrests. Then, April 26th, National Guard response team, Trump has got started, 500 troops ready to go at a moment's notice for any problems anywhere. In other words, what we could say is internal revolution. If I had to pick a date, I'd say the internal revolution probably starts November 1. That's what Dmitry thought when they cut off welfare. That's going to be the start of the internal revolution. But also, if that hasn't started, you wait till they start rounding Obama and some of his other buddies. And a lot of people love those people. And they start rounding them up, slapping handcuffs on them, putting them behind bars. And yes, there's going to be some rejoicing in the streets, but there's also going to be some very, very angry people. So we are probably looking at chaos starting in our nation like we've never seen in our lifetime, and it's probably going to start in the next couple of weeks, if we're watching. Now, I already read this, so I don't have to read the whole thing again. But I want to point out, Trump calls the Democrats kamikaze pilots, and the shutdown and the standoff has no end in sight. I do not think it's going to end. And the Democrats are saying it ain't going to end. The Republicans saying it ain't going to end. Nobody's going to back up. No one is going to say chicken. Then let's jump to this one. SNAP EBT programs are to be paused starting November 1. This is all the background. But now, a couple of things I want to point out. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture is already sending out letters saying SNAP and EBT payments starting November 1 ain't going out. What does that mean? I mean, you can expect riots. And what did Shane Warren say? He said it was literally war in the streets of America. And there's a lot of people very, very angry, And if you look at it through the devil's point of view, pretty smart idea to get the government paying all of these people this free money every month so that when the Democrats can cut it off, it causes the fall of America. And that's where we are. So some 42 million people out of the 350 million people that are here, some 42 million are about to get cut off in their income. They won't have money for food or gas or groceries or rent. What do you think is going to happen? I think we're talking about an internal revolution. Okay, now let me show you of this what I think has happened. I think the U.S. dollar drops 30% in value, number one. Middle Eastern oil strikes a deal with China instead of the U.S. That happened back June 9th of 2024 when Saudi Arabia said they didn't have to sell oil in only dollars anymore. They started selling it in yuan. So that one's probably already fulfilled. Now let's go to the next one, the perfect storm. Inflation reaches a new high. What's a perfect storm? That's when several things are hitting at once. You mean like problems with Russia? You mean like problems with Venezuela and Colombia? Problems with our own universities in America? I mean, there's a lot of battles going on in America right now. We are in a perfect storm. Our gold prices have doubled in the last 12 months, which means the value of the dollar has gone down 50% likewise. Then let's go to the third one. I don't think that this has fully taken place yet. This is probably the next thing that we can be watching for. Food shortage crisis as wheat and bread imports are at a stalemate. Do you remember Coverstone saw that what was it called? The British High Index or something like that? I don't remember in a minute. In other words, nothing is moving at sea, no ships. Okay. Riots, civil unrest as citizens demand entitlement checks. That is probably happening, I'm going to say by mid-November. I do not think that they're coming out of this shutdown. And if you look at the second part of that in blue, an earthquake happened. Now, the earthquake has caused, well, here, let me go on to the next point. The earthquake is caused here, see if you go to the whole thing, it's caused by us splitting Israel. Now, I know that right now everything seems very nice in Israel. It looks like they've got their hostages back, not all the dead ones, but it looks like we're walking closely and quickly toward our peace. But it's not done yet. It's not over. And it may be over the coming months that all of a sudden Trump sees the light. And he says, okay, you're right. The only way we're going to be able to solve this and really bring peace in Israel, then he goes to Netanyahu and he says, you got to give them a Palestinian state. At the end of the day, we tried everything, but you got to do this. So Trump forces Netanyahu to give the Palestinians a state, then America is hit with an earthquake. That could happen in the next few months. I think you'd agree. Now let's go on. Let me point out something else. This chart says that the gold doubled in price. That means that the value of the dollar fell 50%. That fulfills one of the prophecies too, which is why very good idea to call 1-800-200-GOLD or 800-200-4653, especially if you have IRA or 401k. Call them and say, am I okay or can I lose everything? And I just read this a couple of days ago, so I'm not going to read the whole thing again, but I need to point out something. The Lord showed me an American flag. By the way, Coverstone saw the same thing. Transformed into a $100 bill, waving in the wind, suddenly it transformed into a digital code. I just got an email that I can't talk about, so I probably shouldn't say anything else about it. But we're going to a digital system. I can't say more, but we are going to a digital system. And I think that the government shutdown, I don't think that the Democrats are doing as they're told by the right. I think they're being told by the left what they should do. But they don't understand it's playing right into the Elijah plan. It's playing right into new constitution, new flag, new name, new currency system. I think that's what's coming. How soon? Well, next few months. I don't think we're talking about middle of next year, but I've been wrong before. I'm just guessing. After all, you did ask me what I think, so I'm giving you what I think. The Lord said the dollar's about to turn into a digital dollar. Remember the Russians, I put it on the air, the Russians exposed that Trump has a plan to take the $37 trillion in national debt, dump it into crypto, and then dump it into a global digital system, which throws our debt of $37 trillion on the backs of all of the people of the world. And that's probably where that $37 trillion went anyway. So that's just throwing on them, my opinion, pretty much the debt where it really ought to be. Anyway, the point is we are looking at a new currency system, probably, just guessing, probably in the next few months. If we make it to the end of 26 and not in that new digital currency system, I'll be shocked. But I think so. All right, now I'm not going to read all this, but you can pause and you can read it. But it says that in the process, they will have, the banks will just take all of the money out of it. Well, I mean, it's pretty much worthless anyway. We're going to a whole new currency system. And Trump will have a plan to make that transition possible. They call it a debt jubilee. You can read it if you want to. I just read it the other day. He saw lines of people standing at Target stores. In other words, food shortages. Why? Because the dollar is worthless as leaves blowing in the wind, just like we've been telling you since 2010. Shane Warren. Hardly anything left in the stores. Let me go on to the next point. I read this recently too. I don't think I have to read it again. You can pause and read if you want to. But this brother saw cash dropping into an abyss-type place. Dollars began to fade. It became a cashless digital system of digital numbers. He heard the Lord say digital. So just right there, that's two people. But there's a lot more people that are saying we're coming to a... Matter of fact, I should probably look up and see how many prophecies we have going digital, because there's a bunch, okay? Now, this is one of the most important ones, I think, because it ties together several things. And I can tell you right up front, I don't think all of this happens in the same day, but it appears to the way it's written. So this is Jason Meeks. He pulled in and he saw that the first thing was a banking change. That's probably about to happen as a result of this shutdown, okay? So shut down, banking change. Shut down from paper and coins to digital currency. That's where we're going. That's what the prophecies say. Then he saw massive arrests at the same time Trump was back in control as the new president. Now you'd say, wait a minute, he is president. Yeah, well, back up, look at the date. This is 2021. He wasn't president in 2021, but here he is president. I don't think it's president of the old capital United States of America. This is talking about him being president of the new Republic of the United States. New constitution, new flag, new rules, and I don't think Trump will be a king. I don't think he'll call himself a king. I don't think we're referred to him as king, but I think we'll have kingly powers. Whom he would he slew, whom he would he kept alive. Whom he would he lifted up, whom he would he put down, like Nebuchadnezzar. Then, as DJT was assuming control, and I think that's the new republic, massive arrests take place. Well, when would the massive arrests take place? January 12th, starting on about or around? Yep. So do you see? God has not told me a date. Okay, so if it doesn't happen this way, don't call me no prophet. Okay, because I'm not saying thus saith the Lord. I'm saying thus guess a stand based upon 40 years of Bible prophecy, or just my big fat guess. Okay. But if you've been following this stuff for a while, you look at this and you say, he's got something here. It might not come to pass, but he's got something here. We need to be paying attention to this, which is why you should click like, share, and subscribe. Send this out to your other friends because the platforms won't. Good grief, we only have 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. We had 100,000 subscribers before they took us down, deleted our channel 3 years ago. Matter of fact, pray that YouTube will restore our channel. Okay, let's go on. Victory celebration. We've not seen a victory celebration. We've seen Trump get inaugurated. We've seen lots of good things, but we have not seen a victory celebration. Could it be that's about to take place? As we're celebrating all of this, just remember the devil has said we have ruled this planet for thousands of years and we'll destroy it rather than give it up. Now, the next thing he said, he saw a huge explosion like a suitcase nuke. I want to believe it's 6 months between victory celebration and suitcase nuke, but I can't guarantee it. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. Now, we covered this a lot too, so let me skim through it. Just let me tie some things together. So the first thing he saw is a storm. We're in the storm now, financial storm. Second thing is he saw an earthquake. That earthquake could be hitting in the next 6 months because this thing with Israel is not settled. It's not settled yet. As a matter of fact, even Israel is saying until Hamas is disarmed, the war has not stopped. It's not over, okay? Then the devaluing of the dollar, and the devaluing of the dollar had to do with oil. And the devaluing of the dollar had to do with the riots, financial riots. See the picture? See the picture I'm trying to bring past? Then he went on to see that silver, not gold, but silver skyrocketed far more than gold, which for that I'll ask you to call 800-200 gold, 800-200 gold, 800-200-4653. Silver skyrockets. Then he saw in the middle of that, both Shane Warren and Chris Reed saw, give us our entitlements here. Then he saw riots over money. My brothers and sisters, we're talking about those riots are about to start come November 1, unless the government gets past this shutdown. But I think there is, as they say, no way. It's just I don't think it's going to happen. The Democrats say it's not going to happen. They're not backing up. Republicans say it's not going to happen. We're not backing up. That we are not going to get along in this one. And it's all over oil being devalued by the dollar. So we attack Russia by shutting off their oil. Russia turns around and attacks our dollar by bricks. I can see A lot of these things that we've been watching is a perfect storm. It's several things hitting our nation all at once. In the middle of this, there's a great revival. Remember, God told me as the judgment hits, so will my miracles. So in conclusion, let me invite you to our Bible study this coming Friday night, 6:30 Central Time to 8 o'clock. And if you miss it, you can still go in and watch it later. Appreciate your help and your support. If you want to be on the end of making money, gold and silver is preserving your money. If you want to be on the end of making money, then you might want to call prophecyclubcrypto.com or actually go to it or call that number in the bottom right corner. Ask them about crypto if you're in the position where you can make money. If you don't want to lose your life's savings, if you have an IRA or a 401k, the thing to do is call 800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. These folks are Christians and they specialize in helping people not lose their life savings in the event of a stock market crash and things like that. Look, most of the 401ks, most of the IRAs are in paper, backed by paper. And as Lindsey Williams says, if it's in paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. You can lose it all. 1-800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. Hey, give them a call. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't cost you anything. See if they can give you some good advice. When the suitcase nukes, I didn't say if, I said when the suitcase nukes go off, if you want your car to start, if you want your computers and your refrigerators and things like that, anything with a computer chip to work, you want to have one of these from EMPShield.com. EMPShield.com. And they have videos up there. It takes about 10 minutes to put on. It's not complicated at all. And if you use the word prophecy, promo code prophecy, you get a $50 discount and it helps your prophecy class.